we should really, really do a quick recap and assessment of the film awards season thus far. We've held off talking about a lot of the major film awards up until this point because we're now officially a couple of weeks away from the Oscars, and we wanted to get a full scope and a full picture of who the notable winners were going to be, what the playing field was going to look like, who was going to start to take an advantage early on, because that's going to inform a lot of the predictions that we do next week. And so we should move backwards and start and talk about all the major awards that have happened. And I just want to quickly sort of run through some of the key takeaways with all of these award shows, and we'll have a conversation about what this all might mean, what the implications are, of course, for the Academy Awards in a couple of weeks. But let's start with the Golden Globes, which were over a month ago, which made their return after being away for a year. The Golden Globes and the Hollywood Foreign Press Association took a year off to address a lot of the controversies that they were dealing with as a body to then return this year. And we saw some key victories. The Fabelmans walked away with some big awards. They won Best Motion Picture Drama and Best Director for Steven Spielberg. And this is also the first award show that starts to take shape in terms of the really notable bodies and guilds that are sort of influencing where some of these betting odds and predictions start to come from. Across acting categories, we saw Austin Butler picked up Best Actor in a Drama category for Elvis. Colin Farrell picked up the Best Actor in a Comedy category for The Banshees of Inisherin. The Golden Globes, again, they divide things up between musical and comedy and also drama, which I don't know how I feel about that. I'm not really in agreement with it, but that's what they do. But we also saw Cate Blanchett pick up Best Actress in a Drama for Tar, and Michelle Yeoh picked up Best Actress in a Musical or Comedy for Everything Everywhere All at Once. Again, sort of alluding to the idea that multiple people are really at the forefront of these particular races. A couple of weeks ago, the BAFTAs took place, the British Academy Film Awards, and that was pretty much a completely different story. All Quiet on the Western Front nearly dominated the night with 7 award victories. It was nominated for 14 different things. They picked up Best Film and Best Director, some of the big categories. They also won many other categories that night. The Banshees of Inisherin had a particularly big night as well and did very, very exceptionally well across acting categories because Barry Keoghan won for Best Supporting Actor, and Carrie Condon won for Best Supporting Actress in that particular category as well. Cate Blanchett, again, won for Best Actress with Tar, and we saw Austin Butler pick up another win for Best Actor with Elvis. So the BAFTAs, I think what's interesting about that award show, they are very much biased towards British and European productions. That's no surprise.
Sure.
They are the British Academy Film Awards. That's what they're going to lean towards. So All Quiet on the Western Front is a German movie. So I don't think it's all that surprising that it walked away with so many awards that night. But again, it does influence, again, where we're seeing these acting categories start to veer towards. The Directors Guild Awards were also this past weekend. Everything Everywhere All at Once, actually not this past weekend, but a couple of weekends ago, the same weekend as the BAFTAs, but Everything Everywhere All at Once picked up the top prize, Best Director for the Daniels. They walked away with that. And then also, which is interesting to note, Charlotte Wells won the Best Director award for a first-time feature-length debut film for her film After Sun. So the Directors Guild has that notable exception of the category where they honor somebody who's stepped up to direct their first-time feature-length film. And so Charlotte Wells picked up that award. That's a nice thing to call out. And then this past weekend, we kind of got the final 2 big award shows that are happening before the Oscars in a couple of weeks. We got the Producer Guild Awards, the PGAs. Everything Everywhere All at Once won the top prize there as well, Outstanding Producer of Theatrical Motion Pictures. And for Outstanding Producer of Animated Motion Pictures, Guillermo del Toro's Pinocchio picked up that award, and it's virtually won everything it's been up against. It's not really been challenged across any animated categories thus far, so I think it's proving to show that that film is likely to win the award of the Academy Awards. But the Screen Actors Guild Awards also took place just last night. I watched the whole ceremony, and it just absolutely threw a wrench into everything because the film Everything Everywhere All at Once won 4 wins for all of its categories. It nearly swept all of the film categories, the most for any single film in SAG's history. It won the top prize, the Best Ensemble for Motion Picture, but it also picked up major wins in nearly every acting category, including Best Actress for Michelle Yeoh, Best Supporting Actor for Ke Huy Quan, and Best Supporting Actress, surprisingly, for Jamie Lee Curtis. The only other film to win at the SAG Awards last night outside of Everything Everywhere All at Once was The Whale, which Brendan Fraser picked up the Best Actor award for his performance in that movie. But that is another A24 movie. So A24 essentially dominated the night, which we've never really seen before. So all of that out the way, there's a lot to absorb. There's a lot to assess. There's a lot to digest and talk about here. Again, being 2 weeks away out from the Oscars, I just want to start and say that this is probably, at least within the last decade, the most competitive Academy Awards race we've seen. I don't think it's close. It feels so unpredictable across so many categories in terms of who's going to actually walk away with the big Oscars in a couple of weeks here. But with that being said, how do you feel about going into predictions next week? How do you feel about these wins? How do you feel about some of the consistencies that we're seeing across some of these races, in particular the acting categories, which are just kind of a toss-up at this point? It's anybody's game. How do you feel about just the whole outlook of film award season thus far?
It's so crazy that we are, I think, at this point in award season, man, because usually, of course, you know, as you were alluding to, usually a lot of these award shows combined will give us a pretty good estimated guess about what the Oscars are going to look like, what the Academy Awards, what they're going to go for, who is the favorite. And this is one of those years where all of this is happening, and I have not a damn clue about what's going to happen at these Academy Awards, man. There was a moment where I thought, you know, there was a trend, but between the SAGs and the Producers Guild, and of course, all the other award shows combined, I haven't been, I don't know. Usually I'm in the know. Usually I feel like, okay, this is very likely that this is going to happen. I'm not there this time. My mind is in a lot of different places. The fact that we have, what I do like, what is interesting is it does seem like the race is between 2 or 3 full or projects between each category. I do know that for the most part, but to which way that's leaning or tilting or any of that is beyond me, man. It's like you said, we've never been here before. This is at least not for a while. At least not since I've been into it this much anyway. You know what I mean? And so there's something about it it's bittersweet. One, it's really, really cool. I think this is something I think we've been looking for. One of the critiques in past years, if you look at our Oscar predictions from the past 2 years, both of us have been like 85% down the line of who wins what. But part of our critique on top of that is some of this stuff is too easy, predictable. Some of the things that come out it's too obvious. Sometimes the Academy, they're too easy to predict. They're too it's bittersweet in that I love the competition. I love that there's competition. Usually I don't feel like that. Usually I'm like, oh, that's going to win. Oh, that's going to win too. But I love that I don't know. Another part of me, the part that is a little bit bitter, is that there's certain things that I want to win that I'm scared that I don't know where it's going to go. To be honest, the Kate Blanchett and Michelle Yeoh thing is crazy to me. I have no idea which way it's going to go. Before, I was like, Kate might get it. I don't know anymore. Like, Michelle been cleaning up. As much as I want Michelle to clean up, Kate is right there. And so it's a lot going on, man, in this whole thing. It really is. And so, yeah, I don't know what's going to happen. The only thing I know is going to happen, Pinocchio's going to win. We kind of talked about it before this. That's the only thing that I'm like, yep, Pinocchio has the W.
Place your bets now.
Place your bets. The only other thing I think I can bet on is All Quiet on the Western Front getting cinematography. I think that's going to happen too, just because what we've seen so far, they're going to get cinematography. Outside of that, man, it's anybody's game. The Banshees of Inisherin supporting actor and actress stuff is crazy.
Still very much in it.
It's everybody and everything, everywhere, all at once. They're all here, man. They're all in contention. So this is one of the Academy Award years where I'm like, we gotta watch. Of course, we're gonna watch anyway, but this is one of the years where, like, I think everyone is low-key going to be at the edge of their seat more than previous years, because this is really a different landscape that's been painted than previous years. And again, it's kind of exciting at the end of the day.
Yeah, so many observations, so many things to point out. Firstly, I do think it's important to say that just because a movie or an actor or actress win at one particular award show or guild, it does not equal a win at the Academy Awards. That's just not the case. It is a good litmus test about how people feel about these things, because many people who are a part of the Screen Actors Guild are also possibly Academy members. But one of the key distinctions is that the Screen Actors Guild membership exceeds like 120,000 people, 120,000 working actors, because it is a union at the end of the day. Academy membership is a little bit under 10,000, and that's made up of all different types of professions within the industry. Of course, actors can only vote on the acting categories, but when we get to the Academy Awards, we're only looking at a very, very, very small slither of people who have overlap and membership between those two bodies. So there might be a ton of momentum and support behind one particular person. That doesn't mean it'll necessarily carry over by the time Academy voting is closing. That being said, you do have to just still look at the facts of it, that there is a trend across years. There are stats out there where you can look at, for example, the BAFTAs. When you look at the BAFTAs, you can look at I think it's 8 of the last 10 of the best cinematography winners end up winning the best cinematography award at the Academy Awards. There are statistical things like that out there, which can inform betting odds and research and things like that. But I was watching the SAG Awards last night with my mouth just open at many different points in time, because I was just I didn't expect that to happen. Jamie Lee Curtis winning for Best Supporting Actress, I just didn't see it coming. I knew that there was rumblings. I knew that there was support. We knew that there was some momentum behind her, just because that film has just caught so much fire over the past month or so. But for her to actually win when it just felt like Angela Bassett was sort of a shoo-in all the way up until now and has been winning essentially everything until now, is kind of crazy. But that momentum started to shift a couple of weeks ago at the BAFTAs when we saw Carrie Condon also picked up the Best Supporting Actress award in that movie as well, and then Best Supporting Actor. I still think Ke Kwan is going to walk away with it, but you still have to look at just the outlook of the field. Barry Keoghan, I thought he was going to, kind of go through this award season without being acknowledged. It's good to see that he got something in that notable category. But man, those Best Actor and Best Actresses races are unreal right now, because on the Best Actress side, as you said, between Cate Blanchett and Michelle Yeoh, I can't tell you right now. I'm going to really have to sit on that for the next 7 days and give it some true hard thoughts about what that's going to look like. Because the fact that Michelle won at the actual body in which actors vote on is super, super telling. On the other side of it, which is even more crazy and wild, Best Actor, it's legitimately a three-way race. It is Austin Butler. It is Brendan Fraser coming from behind again, because I thought we might have counted him out. And it's still Colin Farrell, I think. I think that those three, it's kind of a pick 'em. Any way you could go, you really just can't tell what it's going to look like. It's just insane to me. But that unpredictability, the fact that we're in this place right now, just a couple of weeks away from the Oscars, I love it, because as you said, the predictive nature of that show over the past few years has just been troubling and not that exciting. And sometimes there are surprises. Sometimes we see things and we're like, whoa, didn't see that coming, couldn't have forecasted that. But now I think more than anything, even outside acting category. Yeah, let's call that back. But even outside acting categories, like some of the below the line stuff, like you said, cinematography possibly still has some things that are up in the air. Sound is still kind of up in the air. Visual effects, I don't know. Thought maybe Avatar had it in the bag, but All Quiet on the Western Front again,
all quiet,
coming out in
cleaning
front
up.
things. Like there's still so many categories that are just kind of up in the air at this point. And so next week's going to be interesting. I'll just say, give our final predictions. Next week is going to be interesting. It'll probably be an exercise that I am working on right up until we start recording the podcast, because I'm just racking my brain, and ultimately I think I'll lead with my heart instead of my head, which I've led with my head and sort of research informed decisions in the past. But I think it's just going to be kind of gut instinct, moving ahead for this award show, because it really is just, it's just unpredictable across the board. I'm very
Mm-hmm.
excited about that. I do want to ask you just about, again, everything everywhere all at once and the story with that. It's just making
Mm-hmm.
history. Even with the unpredictable nature of some of these other categories, the fact that last night at the SAG Awards, winning 4 SAGs, the most of any single film in awards night history, is crazy. The fact that you have Ke Huy Quan, the first Asian actor ever to win a SAG award for acting, Michelle Yeoh, the first actress to win that award in her category. So we're seeing history made, albeit probably a little bit too late. We would love to see some of these things happen earlier, but I guess better late than never. What do you think about just the
Mm-hmm.
momentum that this film has gained? Because even at the PGAs and the DGAs, it took the top prizes at those Guild Awards as well. So there's just a lot behind this movie, again, in the past couple of weeks that I don't know we would have called necessarily at the top of the year once the Golden Globes had happened.
Oh man, you know me, I love everything that this movie is winning. This was my top movie of 2022, and it is one of those things though where, because we understand the award landscape, I was very, I think, apprehensive of giving it wins in a lot of different places. It doesn't, a movie like this, as good as it is, even as well as it did in theaters, even critically, it doesn't mean jack shit in award season. Cough cough, the Woman King. But like, there's a lot happening with Everything Everywhere All at Once that I'm very excited and proud to see, man. I love that this movie is, again, not only as good as it is, but it is a vehicle for history being made. It is the chance for Michelle Yeoh and Ke Huy Quan and I don't know, the Daniels and all these people that were involved in making of the movie to have their footprint in film, in the history of film, in winning in during this award season. So it's really amazing to see, man. I'm very excited that this movie, I feel like, even I feel like I know still a decent amount of people who haven't seen the film. So I feel like even all this talk about it went in the SAGs the way that it won them. I feel like this is doing nothing but getting more eyes on this movie and getting more people to watch a film that I believe low key is like, it broke time. I think movies after this will look different low key, just because of the things that this movie was able to do. But it's just I think it's a dope place to be in. Again, given, I have to say, I wasn't, as much as I like and love this movie, I wasn't in the mindset that it would do a lot of the things that it's doing. And yeah, it's just a good place to be in for it to subvert expectations for the better in this way, man. So I'm very excited for it.
It's a genre film, and genre films don't do well at these award shows.
Mhm.
Everything Everywhere All at Once is a sci-fi, fantasy, interdimensional, multiversal adventure that at its core is a family story about motherhood and her
Mhm.
relationship to her daughter and fulfilling all of your potential and expectations that are placed upon you. But it's still a genre film that has martial arts and hot dog fingers and just weird cartoonish imagery,
Rakakui.
Ratatouille,
Mhm.
like just these things that are. It's the most bizarre movie I think that might have sort of squeaked into this whole conversation just because of how different and how unique it is. And then you couple that with the fact that half of the directing duo is Asian, primarily the entire cast is Asian. Some of these people have been acting for generation after generation after generation.
Yep.
I mean, you just talk about everything that's behind this movie. It's really a seminal moment in time for everything that we're seeing here because of what it means from a representation standpoint, not only in front of the camera with the talent, but also just the type of film that it is. And we can't ignore the fact that, like, I think everybody who won the awards last night, probably with the exception of Jamie Lee Curtis because she kind of got up there with an agenda, everybody else kind of gave the best speeches of the night. James Hong at the end of it, I mean, his speech, phenomenal. The man has been
Yeah.
acting for the better part of 70 something years. He's
Mhm.
94 years old, and they put him front and center when they won Best Ensemble. And his speech, as funny as it was, as endearing as it was like, oh, he's still making points. He's still dropping gems. Like, look at us
Yeah.
now. Look at how far we made it. They told me when I was entering the industry that Asians don't sell movies. We don't perform well at the box office. This is now the highest grossing film in A24 history. It's a critical darling and it's sweeping up the awards. That's the trifecta that you almost never see across any
Mhm.
movie ever. And so it's absolutely writing its name in the history books. And there's just one big one left. There's one show left, the granddaddy of them all, most important one left. We'll see how it does. It is the most nominated film of the night, which is also telling, but we'll have to see how many trophies it actually walks away with. But we'll be back next week to do our final predictions for the 95th Academy Awards, and it'll be a very, very interesting conversation, to say the least.